Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopRex.org, brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Hello, Phantom fans, and welcome to Season 6, Episode 20 of the Dump and Chase podcast. My name is Sam Olmstead, and tonight I will be enjoying a refreshing Bud Light. I'm joined, as always, by Dan Conley, who will be enjoying a refreshing water, and Justin Irwin, who, because of the Fifth Amendment, we will not be disclosing what he is enjoying tonight. Gentlemen, how we doing?
My water's cold. I'm doing well.
Plead the fifth, Justin. Plead the fifth.
Yeah. I am doing redacted.
Wow. All right. All in all, I'd say that was a pretty good weekend. I think even better than we predicted, at least for those of us who showed up to the games.
I was going to say you guys were treated to a pretty good couple games.
Yeah.
Hey, my family was there the whole weekend. I was making spaghetti dinner.
Yeah. My dad showed up for a game. He hasn't been to a game in the Covelli in, probably 6 years at least. So, good crowd, definitely an entertaining game. So I had a good weekend.
Yeah, so I ended up spending the entire weekend up in the press booth. It ended up being kids' weekend up there. On Friday, I had my youngest son with me. As always, the generous person that he is, voice of the Phantoms, Matt Lipsack. Let him sound off the goal horn when the Phantoms came out for warm-ups on Friday night, which my son proceeded to let everybody know about the next day, including a cashier at Walmart. And then Saturday night, if you watched on the Facebook stream, Matt had his son with him during the game. His son's actually going to make an appearance here on the show here in a little bit. One slight little problem while I was up there on Friday, it turned out the cord that connected all of Western Reserve Radio's everything to the internet was at my feet. And apparently at first intermission, when I stood up to walk out of the press booth, I kicked that cord, unplugged it, and knocked Western Reserve Radio offline.
Huh. I'm sure throughout the years, people have asked who unplugged it in a joking statement, but it actually happened.
I was Jim Craven from Western Reserve was not there. He did text and say I was fired.
Are they going to dock your pay now?
Yeah. I'm collecting my last paycheck. I told him I want it all in cash. Yeah. So if you were listening on the Facebook live stream and it suddenly went offline at the end of the first period, my bad. Dave had to set up a kick plate to make sure it didn't happen again for the rest of the night. I was unaware that it was at my feet, but I guess it was when I got up.
They had to sandproof their setup.
Yep.
I can verify this.
Some other happenings on the weekend. Coach Ryan Ward there at the end of the game on Saturday doing his best Colin Wynn impression and headbutting the puck there with about 15 seconds left in the game.
Kind of reminiscent of old Penguins coach Eddie Johnston. Got to finish the game, holding a rag to your head.
So a Hunter Ramos deflection sent the puck up into the Phantoms bench. And we saw somebody keel over holding their head and team trainer Amber Martinelli running towards them with a towel. By process of elimination by the other coaches who were standing, we figured out it was Ryan Ward. Got himself a forehead full of stitches now. I asked him if he had the word Proflex indented into his head. He said no, but it did say made in Slovakia. But he's doing well, and you'll hear later on we were able to confirm he did end up getting to keep that puck.
Yeah, yep, good stuff. And, obviously he's okay. We can joke.
He was doing as much joking as anybody about it. I think the best part of the entire thing was because he was getting sewn up, he wasn't able to come out for the post-game press conference. So assistant coach Brandon Gotkin came out and pretty much had, I think, what was one of the better quotes we've ever had in a post-game press conference. And you can take a listen to that right now.
He's doing good. Thank God it wasn't a bullet. He'll survive. He's going to survive. And we talk about blocking shots all the time. So it's good to see him wear one.
And of course, that was Matt's son giggling in the background. That's
to be fair, everybody was laughing. It's just he's the one you pick up on the mic.
Coach Brandon's material works for all ages. We can confirm he is on his way to recovery. Will not have to miss any time. He won't be a game day scratch or anything like that. And I had to check and make sure Amber Martinelli will not force him to wear a full cage on the bench this upcoming weekend.
That'd have been interesting.
Something we've been doing here over the last month, giving back to the youth of Youngstown. We took on an intern, very nice young lady named Marley. If you go on to our Facebook page, the actual Facebook page for the podcast, we have a link to a video of an interview she did with Nathan Lewis. So if you get a chance, make sure to check that out. If we're going to call her an intern, we got to give her a nickname.
Oh, we're going to have to work on that.
Marley, I didn't plan this out. This is
spur of the moment. This is not on the run sheet, dude.
No, Marley and me. Watch that movie once. We'll never make that mistake again.
Yeah, let's give her something a little better.
Mad Dog. You know what? We'll go with some alliteration here. Mad Dog Marley. There we go. So be sure to go to our Facebook page and find Mad Dog's interview with Nathan Lewis here this past weekend. Oh, she's gonna love that. So another bit of news that may or may not have happened yet. Trade deadline coming up. By the time everybody hears this, the trade deadline will have already passed. At the time of recording, the trade deadline has not come yet. So basically what we're going to do, if it ends up happening that any trades are made, future me is going to drop in right now and tell you all about it. Hello, current Sam, current Justin, and current Dan. This is future Sam doing some post-production editing here on Monday night, getting ready to get this episode ready for release. And the trade deadline has come and gone, and I can confirm that no moves were made by the Phantoms. So the Phantoms roster for the remainder of this season is locked in. Carry on. All right, and there you go. Or didn't go. Current me can't predict the future, but future me is a time traveler, so.
Yeah, and much slimmer, and hopefully the cream clears that thing up.
You know you're replaceable, right?
Oh, come on. AI isn't dumb enough yet to replace me.
Wow. All right. So coming up in this episode, we will be recapping the Phantoms 2-game sweep of the Chicago Steel at the Covelli Center. Phantom Files this week. It's been way too long. About a year and a half now since main camp 2 years ago. We got him back on the show. We will be talking to Phantoms team captain Andrew Strathman. And we will be previewing the upcoming school day game with Waterloo coming to town. And a 2-game series after that with the Eastern Conference leading Dubuque Fighting Saints coming in. So with that, we're going to take our first break. The weekend recap is coming up next with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take one.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway Club fitting center, and an Odyssey fitting studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112.
This is Voice of the Phantoms and friend of the show, Matt Lipsack, and you are listening to the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
Welcome back to the Dump and Chase podcast on the home of the Youngstown Phantoms, Western Reserve Radio. So the Phantoms, 2 games this past weekend with the Chicago Steel coming to town, and just the phrase we always love to say, once again, we have swept the Chicago Steel in Youngstown. So starting out with the game on Friday, this was a 2-1 shootout win for the Phantoms. Michael Hagens from Chicago gets the early goal for Chicago, ended up being the only goal in the period. So after the first period, Chicago's up 1-0. We get about halfway through the second period. I don't have it right in front of me, so that's what I'm going to go with. What ended up being the Phantoms' only goal in regulation, and this is how that went down.
Bouncing puck, we're in. Turn, fire, scores! By Sam a drink and get his dog 1-2. Sam Rinaldo with the redirect in front, goal number 9 on the season. Phantoms have tied the game. Time of the goal, 16:49.
And Friday night was also Pittsburgh Penguins night.
So we will,
Matt throwing the old homage to Mike Lang there. So, after the second period, the game's tied at 1. No scoring, and funny enough, no penalties in the third period. Just a lot of back and forth action in that third period. Game going to overtime, not an overtime, so the game goes to a shootout. Nothing in the first round. Both Mick Thompson from Chicago and Grant Young both getting goals in the second round. No more scoring up until the 6th round, with Aiden Wright stopping Michael Emerson, who turns out would be suspended for the game on Saturday for a cross-check. So nice to see it go the other way for once. So that led to the bottom of the 6th inning here, and Zach Marin coming up to the plate.
The left-handed shot with speed down the right side. Marin, shot, scores! Sayonara, arrivederci, adios, auf Wiedersehen and aloha. Oh, mean goodbye. Zach Marin walks it off for the Phantoms. Your final score in the shootout, Youngstown 2 and Chicago 1.
After Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals last year, Matt's walk-off call there just hits a little bit differently.
Oh, man.
I was thinking he didn't, normally he says goodbye, Chicago. I was expecting that.
After watching that Will Whitelaw clip so many times, it sounds off to me that he didn't throw Chicago in there at the end. So, with that, Phantoms get the 2-1 win. Aiden Wright in this game, stopping him 17 of 18 shots and 5 of 6 in the shootout, picking up his 5th win of the season. Obviously not the greatest of offensive games, fairly decent defensive game on Youngstown's part, not so much on Chicago's. Youngstown 45 shots in the game. The only thing that kept Chicago in this game was Luca Cloutier.
Excellent goaltending. I haven't watched him much. This game was definitely an eye-opener, though.
To be honest here, we talked about last week with the Phantoms going down 2-0, like the previous 3 games. When Chicago went out and got that 1-0 lead, you're thinking to yourself, oh, not again. Not again, please.
And especially, the game being 2-1 in overtime. We've been on the wrong end of the shootout a few times in the past. And Yeah, I have to say I was a little bit nervous going into that one.
We don't always want to give props to anybody on the other team. That was a hell of a, thankfully it was in a losing effort. That was a hell of a goaltending performance on Friday.
I mean, Wright played great as well.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a goaltending duo. Chicago got that early one. He stopped almost everything, including 5 out of 6 shoot in the shootout. So, I mean, props to him. But yeah, Cloutier, however you pronounce it, like I said, that was an eye opener. That's something to watch going forward for Chicago. He can keep them in a game where they're getting shelled.
Right. And I would almost venture to say that, Wright had a real hard, even though he only faced 18 shots, he'd go minutes without getting any sort of action at all. So the hardest part about being a goalie is keeping yourself mentally ready. Kudos to him for doing that. When I think the second period of that Friday game, he had 2 shots on goal. So keeping yourself involved mentally and getting yourself ready when you're not facing a whole lot of action can be hard sometimes.
Yeah, it's where you have that goaltending duel, but it's 2 opposite ends of the spectrum. You have one goalie that's getting peppered the entire game, and then you have that other goalie that has to stay sharp because, he's seeing 2 shots in one period.
Yeah.
And then you have to be mentally ready for a shootout.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to the game on Saturday. This one, almost as much as a nail biter as the one on Friday. Phantoms winning this game 7-1, sending Chicago home with their tails firmly tucked between their legs. I would say in this one, and I don't know if I brought it up on the show last week, but, and Chicago had been playing well. They had been getting some wins, since the calendar flipped. But the fact of the matter was the way Chicago played against teams below 500 and the way they played against teams above 500 was 2 completely different stories. And Youngstown exposed Chicago again on this front on Saturday night.
Yeah, maybe not having quite the goaltending to cover up those mistakes.
Beyond that, Chicago's defense didn't do them any favors.
No, I mean, it was bad all weekend, but they broke down.
Yeah.
I think another thing defensively that the Phantoms did well, I should say defensively, but their offensive, they held the puck on, they had the puck a lot, which is the best defense is having a good offense. And I think that really played into it really stopped Chicago from getting any sort of like offensive rhythm repeatedly going as puck dominant as the Phantoms were this whole entire weekend.
All right. So kicking off this game for the Phantoms, getting the first goal in this game, which is nice. Didn't have, Phantoms going down 1-0 in the game on Friday. It's kind of been a little bit of a theme. So it was nice for the Youngstown to go up early. That all started off with Kristen Chua and what he was able to pull off there in the first period.
D to Strathman. Snapped ahead to Ramos at the line. He has a 2-on-1 with Chua. Chua got the shot away. He scores! He's having fun, looking out for number 1. Christian Chua, his first goal in the USHL, gives the Phantoms a 1-0 lead.
And that was just the start of it. Later on in the period, Ryan Botterill and Mikey Burchell both picking up power play goals. So Youngstown up 3-0 after the first period. Charlie Serrato, the beginning of his night, picking up the lone goal in the second period, giving Youngstown a 4-0 lead going into the third. Chicago ruining the shutout bid early in the third period on the power play, but that was all Chicago would get. Charlie Serrato would pick up the next 2 goals to pick up the hat trick. Osborne decided to kick the extra point there with about a minute left, giving Youngstown the 7-1 win. Aiden Wright again getting the start in this game, stopping 17 of 18, so repeat of the night before. Upping his record to 6-1, 0-1 on the season. Off to a great start for Aiden. Kind of sounds a little familiar, doesn't it?
I think Coach Ward referred to him as being Gator-esque. I don't know if I'd use that term, but yeah, I think we've seen this where a young, goaltender maybe wasn't on our radar so much, coming in late in the season and putting up some amazing numbers, but kind of the playbook, I guess.
Yeah, Aiden Wright's played in 8 games this year, and in 4 of those games, he's given up 1 goal. 2 of those games, they've get let in 2. It's not just him, too. I think the defense is playing really well in front of him at the same time. They're defending well. It does give your team a certain, with all respect to everybody else the fans have had in that, it gives yourself a sort of confidence back there when the goalie's playing well. And Aiden Wright, since joining the team, has played very well.
So with this weekend gone, that'll be it for the regular season series between the Phantoms and the Steel. So when it's all and done, Youngstown going 5-0-1 against Chicago, picking up 11 out of a possible 12 points, outscoring Chicago 23-11, outshooting them in 6 games. Wow. Youngstown outshot Chicago 252-142. So Youngstown was plus 110 shots in 6 games. Do the math on that one.
I mean, I'm not saying shots on goal are everything, but I'd rather have more than not. You know my philosophy on that one.
Yeah.
And that stat is incredible. I had not heard that before this. So
Youngstown on the power play against Chicago went 5 for 26, works out to 19.2%, so not far off their season average. Chicago getting the power play goal in the third period on Saturday ruined 2 shutouts. The shutout Aiden Wright had going in that game. Also, that ended up being the only power play goal Chicago scored against Youngstown this season. When it was all said and done, Chicago was only 1 for 21 on the power play, giving Youngstown a penalty kill percentage of 95.2%.
Wow.
So just that one goal just ruined everything.
Sad we're done playing him for the year.
I know. I could take him a couple more times. All right. So with that, it is now time for the Dump and Chase podcast 3 stars of the week. And Justin is kicking it off with our 3rd star.
Mikey Burchell, 1 goal, 3 assists on Saturday. Heck of a game.
Bring us to our 2nd star of the week. Aiden Wright, 2 games, 2 wins, 2 goals allowed, 0.97 goals against average, and 0.944 save percentage on the weekend. A rocket net the whole weekend for the team.
And that brings us to our 1st star of the week, Charlie Serrato, again, picking up the hat trick on Saturday. So thanks to our stats department, again, that would be Matt Lipsack, and access to that I now have to some of the team records. Charlie Serrato becomes the 5th player in Phantoms history with a hat trick against Chicago. Now, some of the other names on this list, I believe Ryan Belanger, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Belanger, I think.
Belanger, okay. So Ryan Belanger, Austin Cangelosi, Ryan Lomberg, and Will Whitelaw. So that's a pretty good list to join.
That's good company.
Yeah. Ryan Lomberg.
But again, Charlie Serrato becoming only the 5th player in Phantoms history to pick up a hat trick against Chicago. So that will do it for 3 stars and the weekend recap. Coming up after the break, we will welcome back to the show Phantoms team captain Andrew Strathman for this week's edition of Phantom Files. So keep it here with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier. Then make sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app.
We're back with the Dump and Chase podcast on the home of Phantoms hockey, Western Reserve Radio. So on this week's edition of Phantom Files, we welcome a guest who we haven't had on since main camp 2 years ago. Now, in that time, he's won a Clark Cup, and he was named the 15th captain in Phantoms team history. He's a North Dakota commit who hails from Beach Park, Illinois, and the day this episode releases will actually be his 19th birthday. We are, of course, talking about number 27, Andrew Strathman. Stratty, happy birthday, and it's good to finally have you back.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me back. Always good to get on. So
now, like I said, and I'll take the blame for it. We haven't talked to you in a while. Since you first came to Youngstown, so much happening. Again, winning the cup, being drafted by the Columbus Blue Jackets. I mean, going back to that real quick, just like not only how was that moment for you, but not only the fact that Columbus drafted you, but drafted Whitelaw as well.
Yeah, that was really cool. I think just being there and being able to do it with him was something I'll never forget, and something I think he'll never forget either. And now we get to see each other a little bit more there. So you just can't get enough of that guy. So
we'll take care of a conspiracy theory here. There was a video that came out after the draft of you and Will in the hotel room, with Will making his draft predictions with various Phantoms. And he seemed to hit all of them. Now, that was recorded before the draft took place and not after, right?
Yeah, he hit all of them. I didn't hit any of mine.
That was legit.
Yeah, that was legit. As legit as it gets.
I'm going to have to ask him for some numbers later on.
Yeah. Hockey IQ.
Yeah.
I mean, did you have any conversations with Columbus leading up to the draft? I mean, was that one of the teams you were, talking to, or?
Yeah. I think you don't really know how to feel going into it, but I did have conversations with them. But at the end of the day, you don't really have an idea. I mean, the teams that are kind of interested in you, but until you get picked, you never really know.
So Will knew where everybody else was going except himself.
Yeah, I don't think he picked himself. I forget, but yeah, I don't think he guessed where he thought he was going.
Well, that might have been a smart move. It might have been a little awkward if he picked a team and then that isn't where he ended up going. So
yeah, it was all fun.
Before this season starts, like I said, you get the C on your jersey. What did that mean to you? What was kind of like that conversation when you found out?
Yeah, so I found out at main camp last year. I got a call from Chancer, and he just kind of said, kind of passed the torch on, and it's just a huge honor. I mean, being able to kind of lead this group and knowing what it means to lead this group and this organization this year is, it's like I said, it's just a big honor, and it's something that means a lot to me. And I have great alternate captains that help me out, and I can't do it without them. So yeah, it's awesome.
Now, do you feel like you're really getting an education in a leadership role when you talk about just how this season has gone, injuries, suspensions, tournaments, all that kind of just everything that has happened to you guys this season?
Yeah, it's obviously hard. I mean, you see guys go down, and like Clarkey and Gunt and Louis early in the year. And there's even a couple guys as of recent that have gone down, but you just try to stay as positive as you can. And that's when you come closest as a group is just battling it out together and finding out different ways to win games and get better throughout the week. So that's kind of our mentality, like going into it. And I don't think there's a better way to do it.
Now, we've seen with you in the last, I want to say 3-4 weeks, kind of really embracing the offensive side of your game. We've made jokes on here, you channeling your inner Whitelaw. What was kind of like the decision where, you've been a lot more involved offensively than it seems like you were earlier in the season?
Yeah, I think it just got to a time where I decided that I needed to get back to my game and playing the way I want to play hockey, and not listening to outside as much, and just, like I said, playing my game. I think that's what it came down to. And I think that it's been working, and I feel really good lately. So
this past weekend was Chicago. You guys have been on the road a lot. How was it finally coming back to Covelli Center? Not only that, but just ending up having the weekend that you guys had.
Yeah, there's not a better place to play on this earth, and at least in junior hockey. And, the fans make it that much better. And I think we had we're close to 3,000 both nights. And it was just, yeah, it's great. The fans don't realize how much they help us. Just even with like momentum and like when someone makes a hit or even get a shot on net, you get a little bit of a rise from the crowd. So it definitely helps a lot more than they know. And hopefully we can keep getting that many people there. And
Now, not only as the team captain, but I guess the leader of the defensive core. I mean, how much pride do you guys take in where you have a couple periods this weekend where you're only holding you're holding Chicago to only like 3 or 4 shots in a period?
Yeah, I mean that's the expectation. We talk about it all the time. I think last year in the playoffs, I don't think we let in more than 10 or under 15 goals, maybe. Or it was something pretty ridiculous, and that obviously helps with a good goalie. And then for us, that's the expectation. I mean, we don't want to let up anything at all. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
I got a couple questions here. Somebody wanted me to ask you. Very nice guy named Ryan. Used to frequent the Chicago area. Now has moved to the Mahoning Valley. Recently took a puck to the forehead.
How's he doing, by the way?
Yeah. I think I called him today, and he said he had a little bit of a headache, but yesterday, I think so. When the puck hit him, we all turn around, and I think Patillo was next to me. Me and Adam start looking at each other, and we just start laughing pretty hard. Like we couldn't stop laughing, and he was bleeding pretty bad, but I think he was trying to play it tough. Like he didn't want to get off the bench. There was like 15 seconds left, but you could tell he was hurting. I gave him the puck that hit him after the game, so that was
nice. There you go. That's why you're the captain.
He's all good.
Yeah, we had said earlier, I had asked him if he ended up with the puck, and he said he did get it. So now we know you're the one that got it for him. So, all right. So I have no, this is what he gave me. I have no context to these. So hopefully you'll be able to figure out what he's getting at here. The first thing he told me was to ask you about your COVID year.
Yeah, it was something. I mean, I think it was similar for everyone, kind of a wild, what do you say, half a year, even longer, that we went through. You had the quarantine, and you had like skates with Wardo and Carl Linden there. And in the spring when there was COVID hit, the rest of that year, it was just crazy. Like I lived in the same apartment complex as Wardo, and we'd go to the rink every morning. And I did online school from my sophomore year onto last year, and I'd just play hockey all day and be around that guy all day. So our relationship since then has just been it's been pretty special, and it's something that I never take for granted. So.
Okay. And the other question he wanted me to ask you was, how great was your development at Chicago Mission?
Yeah, it was, they're a good organization. When I went to CYA, I thought that, Ward will help me a little bit more, but, yeah, not much on that one.
So these questions were more about him than they were you. I'm getting here.
Yes.
Dan, you got anything?
This year, you guys have a relatively young team, and you've kind of went on streaks, both good and bad. So far this year, what's something about the team that you really like, and what's something that you'd like to see the team improve as a whole?
Yeah, I think as a group, something that I really like is we're in every game. Like we play hard every game. I don't think that there's a game that our guys are quitting, or if we go down, we're never out. Like we're always trying to come back, and I think that always makes a good team. And yeah, we're a young group, but our younger guys have come a long way, and we don't really think of our younger guys as younger guys anymore. They all have taken a step, and we expect them to play an older guy's game, I guess to say, especially with injuries going on now. Like we have to kind of fill that void, and it's the next man up mentality. And yeah.
How excited are you? Because it's coming up here sooner than later. How excited are you to get Nathan Lewis back on the ice?
Yeah, I can't wait to get him back. I mean, he's one of my better buddies away from the rink, and to see how much work that guy's put in just to be able to be in this position now and get back at this time is unreal. Like he's been working so hard every day in the gym just to like I said, be back in this position to help us win here at the end. So
with the whole country theme on Saturday, Nathan's already like 6'14". Were the cowboy boots really necessary for him, or
and hat?
No, they weren't. No,
I saw him walking around. I'm like, oh wow. I mean,
yeah, he's pretty tall.
All right. So before we end it out here, we're going to rapid fire some questions at you. We'll start out with, what's your favorite pregame meal?
Chipotle.
That's the first time we've heard that one.
Yeah. First honest answer.
All right. Favorite roommate on the road?
Hey, Jack Wilson.
Okay. Who was your favorite player growing up? Who was the guy that you looked up to?
Patrick Kane. Yeah, he just scored there in OT tonight back in Chicago. So that was pretty cool to watch.
If you weren't a hockey player, what sport would you be playing?
Probably baseball.
Baseball. Did you play Little League growing up, or?
Yeah, I played travel until I was probably like 12 or 13.
What'd you typically play?
Third base or pitch.
Okay. How was your fastball?
Oh, I threw heat.
Were you old enough to be allowed to throw breaking balls, or was it just all fastballs and changeups?
I threw a cutter, but yeah, I don't think we were old enough yet.
What'd you max out at?
I don't know. I didn't keep the miles per hour.
I never told you?
Maybe we did. I don't even know. I forget, to be honest, but
the gun just said
think about it, but maybe we did. I forget.
Every time I ever threw with a radar gun, it just said error.
Must be too slow.
Exactly. All right. What's the last movie you watched?
Last movie I watched, The Beekeeper.
Okay,
that's
so
a new one.
That one I haven't heard of.
It's a new one.
Okay. What's your comfort TV show? Like, what's the show if you can't find anything to watch, you'll just go back and watch over and over again?
Suits.
Okay, we've heard that one a couple times now.
Yep.
What's your favorite music to listen to? Like, what are you using to, like, kind of get yourself amped up before a game?
Probably rap, or just like a mix or something.
Now, a lot of the guys on the team, and it's kind of an odd mixture, but a lot of them have said they're into country and EDM. Are you into those, or?
Yeah, I think like in my car, I'll listen to country, but I think before the game, it's more just like rap or EDM. Yeah.
So, Andrew, before we let you out of here, is there anything you'd like to say to the fans that are listening to the show today?
No, I mean, thanks for all the support. Like I said, it really helps when you guys come out and support us, and we appreciate it more than you know. So thank you guys.
All right. So once again, happy birthday. Even though when we're recording, it's a couple days early, but when this comes out, it will be. So we're just all going to pretend. So happy birthday. Enjoy your 19th. Yeah. And good luck the rest of the way. Most importantly, stay healthy. I think that's been more important than anything for this team this year.
Yep.
Yeah. Good luck the rest of the way, man. And we'll see you this weekend.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
All right. So we have been talking with Phantoms captain Andrew Strathman. And with that, we're going to step aside for a quick break. When we come back, we'll dig into what is going to be a very busy weekend at the Covelli Center. So keep it here with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
This is Voice of the Phantoms and friend of the show, Matt Lipsack, and you are listening to the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
This is the Dump and Chase podcast on the home of the Youngstown Phantoms, Western Reserve Radio. So as far as the weekend ahead, we will be starting with the Eastern Conference schedule. On Friday, the U18s will be welcoming the Waterloo Blackhawks up to Plymouth. Chicago taking off out to Green Bay. The U17s heading out to Cedar Rapids, and Madison will be at Muskegon. On Saturday, it'll be Madison's turn with the U18s, that also taking place in Plymouth. Waterloo will be heading to Muskegon. Omaha will be at Chicago, and the U17s still will be at Cedar Rapids. And then on Sunday, the U17s will go from Cedar Rapids to Des Moines for that game. Green Bay will have their turn with the U18s. And Omaha, once again, second game of that series will be at Chicago. So that leads us to the Phantoms weekend, starting off with the school day game on Thursday morning with the Waterloo Blackhawks coming to town. We already talked about Waterloo like a week ago, so I don't think we need to go through any of that again, other than apparently it is okay to practically knock Sasha Boumedien's jaw off and there be no repercussion for it in the league's eyes.
I mean, in the league's eyes, exactly. I believe there will be repercussions from it. I mean, there is that school day game tradition.
Yes.
Yeah. Good reason for it this time.
Yeah. It won't be random this year. Yeah, we are, everything I know up to this point, it is to be expected there will be a massive, massive, massive crowd at the Cavelli Center. We may be talking like game 3 of the finals level. And it's been a while since they've packed Cavelli Center on a school day game. It's obviously with COVID, it went way down. We've seen it go up and up since. They may have literally packed the building for the school day game this year.
I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. So, I mean, it's going to be loud.
Yeah. My youngest son will be there with his class. So hopefully get to wave to him.
I'll be there. Dan will be there. Justin's not allowed within 500 yards of the Cavelli Center. That's for the cream joke at the beginning of the episode. No, but all in all, I mean, ton of energy in these games. The vast majority of the kids aren't entirely sure what's going on, but they always seem to, scream and yell and get loud at the right moment. So, always a ton of energy in this game, that building.
You put up on the board, make noise. They make noise.
Yeah.
Think they're going to give him frisbees this year?
Oh God, no.
No,
I hope not.
Oh God, I hope not.
No frisbees, no beach balls, nothing that can end up on the ice.
What did we end up with? Like 3 or 4 frisbees on the ice that year?
Yep.
Yeah.
At varying points during the game.
Yeah. Let's not be like Grand Rapids and what was it that was thrown on the ice there that got the team?
I have no idea what you're getting at here.
Yeah. Oh, you don't remember that where it was Grand Rapids versus Cleveland, and maybe it was Chuckapucks or something that got thrown on the ice, and when the team scored and they got a penalty and ended up losing in overtime.
Ooh.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't jars of salsa.
No. Although that would be glorious.
We got a little bit of time here, Justin. Go ahead and tell that fantasy that you had that game.
The Guy Fieri.
Guy Fieri.
Guy Fieri, yeah. When he came to town and they handed out jars of salsa, that would have been a fun hat trick.
Are you guys familiar with what the Buffalo Bills throw on the field every game at a home game?
Other fans?
They throw something from the stands on the field into the other team's end zone when they're warming up. It's a device for women.
Ah, okay.
You can Google that.
Relationship enhancement device.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah, I know the Buffalo Bills, like their fans like body slam each other into flaming tables during the tailgate party, but
yeah, the nickname Buffalo Bildos.
And that's it for the show tonight. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
That's not my bag, baby.
All right. So moving on to Friday and Saturday, the Dubuque Fighting Saints coming to town. These two teams only meeting 4 times this year, so this will be the last 2 games of the season series between these two. These teams last played in Dubuque on November 11th and 12th. Youngstown winning the first game 5-4 in a shootout, and then losing the second game of that weekend 4-1. Dubuque last weekend split with Madison, winning 8-4 on Friday, and then losing 3-2 on Saturday. So Dubuque coming into the weekend with a record of 30-10-6. That gives them 66 points and first place in the Eastern Conference. Youngstown coming in with a record of 25-13-7. That gives them 57 points, still holding on to fourth place in the Eastern Conference. Although Green Bay and Muskegon beat each other up pretty good, and nobody really came out very far ahead of the other one. So Youngstown getting a couple wins, they kind of did us a favor this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, and with Dubuque coming in my opinion, never a bad matchup. Yeah, they are quite a bit ahead of us in points, but that second spot is not too far ahead. So
I think we match up very well with Dubuque. They're a high octane offensive team. Kind of play you straight up forward, and we're a physical team, and we make teams work. And I think the play style of Youngstown, I think they're gonna give Dubuque all the fits they can handle. And I'm looking for 2 really good games this weekend. 3 really good games, 2 really good games against Dubuque.
I feel like we're going to have a much better idea as far as the rest of this season after these next 2 weekends. 3 games this weekend, 3 games next weekend. Waterloo coming in for a game, Dubuque coming in for 2 games, and then the 3-3 with Muskegon the next weekend. This team is going to learn a lot about themselves over the next 2 weeks. 12 points up for grabs. If this team is to the point, especially with the emergence of Aiden Wright, if they can put a run together over the next 2 weeks, I mean, standings wise, it's going to do them a lot of favors. But at the same time, it's going to we're going to know where this team is at after these next 2 weeks. That these are really like 2 make or break weekends coming up.
Yeah, and the team's learned a lot about themselves all year up to this point. I hope they've seen just about everything that the game of hockey can throw at them, and they've learned a lot.
Don't say that.
Edit that out, please.
You already jinxed Ryan Botterill getting his first penalty of the season. Don't say that.
But not the other 2. But yeah. I don't know what I was going to say now. So go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm leaving that in. If something goes wrong, I'm going to make sure you fully get the blame for it.
And I mean, out of all these teams, it's Muskegon that I think we've struggled the most against. Yeah. We have 3 games in less than 3 days against them. This is a big test. So I can't argue with you that this is where we're going to find out who we are.
Now, we'll get into this more next week. But I mean, as far as talking about Muskegon in a couple weeks, so far these teams, Youngstown and Muskegon has played 6 times. The games either took place in Rochester or Muskegon. This will be the one and only time in the regular season Muskegon's coming to the Covelli Center. And we know there's a massive difference with this team playing on the road and playing at home. And again, we're going to get into a lot more of that, coming up next week. Where am I at here? I guess the next question would be the goaltending rotation this weekend. Obviously, Aiden Wright's been doing what he's been doing. Colin Wynn obviously struggling, but at the same time, he's somebody we will never quit rooting for.
No.
You talk to this kid for 30 seconds, you cannot, even if whether he's struggling or not, you cannot help but root for this kid. So, I mean, he's not somebody we're ever going to count out.
My wife told me a story this weekend after Serrato got his hat trick. Somebody threw like a toboggan onto the ice, missed it, hit Colin, he caught it, and Colin threw it back to the guy.
No, I mean... going down the stretch, we're going to need 2 goaltenders. We've got 6 games over 2 weeks. So obviously Colin is going to have to, carry his weight. And like you said, we root for him. I'm fairly confident he'll be able to get back into shape and, help this team win down the stretch.
Yeah, so I mean, it begs the question, do we maybe see Colin in the Waterloo game and then see Aiden, Friday and Saturday with Dubuque? Or, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how Coach Ward ends up, spreading this out. over a 3-game weekend. Again, like you said, especially with another 3-game weekend coming up right after that.
Yeah, I mean, Colin is going to have to play. I'm not worried.
All right. So, again, the game on Thursday is a 10:05 puck drop. The bulk of the arena will be filled with various students of various ages and grades around the Mahoning Valley area. This is for those of you who are not season ticket holders. Sorry, but that's kind of a season ticket holder thing that we're able to get in. But the game, you can catch the game on Flow Sports and, of course, on Western Reserve Radio, either on Western Reserve Radio or the Facebook streams. The games on Friday and Saturday, both of these games are a 7:05 puck drop. And thanks to the wonderful and incredible Kelsey Morton, I have the information here that instead of me typing it all out, I'm just going to read it from her messages to me here. Friday night will be kids takeover night. There will be kids like doing the starting lineup, junior MC, some junior promo kids. So we're going to be turning it over to the younger generation. Leading for the game on Friday. Saturday will be first responders night. I believe a couple of the billets will be doing the lineup and the puck drop. There will also be a fundraiser going on for the Ron Russo Foundation. They will be the beneficiary of the 50-50 that night. And I believe some of, if I'm reading this right, some of Ron Russo's grandkids will be the junior starters there before the game. The name sounds familiar to hockey fans. Ron Russo was the father of Rocky Russo, the current head coach of the Lincoln Stars. Ron Russo was a longtime Youngstown firefighter who lost his life in a car accident here about 6-7 years ago, somewhere around that timeline. So the Ron Russo Foundation was started, supports many different charities and foundations around the Youngstown area, especially ones involving children and various other firefighter foundations. So make sure you're coming out to that. Open up the wallets, buy some 50-50 tickets to help support, and just a completely awesome foundation. And again, the father of Rocky Russo, who is the coach of the Lincoln Stars, but also a Youngstown native. These games, again, will be available on Flow Sports and Western Reserve Radio with voice of the Phantoms and friend of the show, Matt Lipsack. But we want you to come out to these games. We want butts in the seats. We say it every week. And I mean, man, you guys are coming through big time.
Yeah, last weekend was phenomenal. I can't remember the last time 2 regular season games in a weekend with 2,500 plus.
Yeah. So you can get tickets by calling the Phantoms box office at 330-747-PUCK. That is 330-747-7825. Or you can go to the Phantoms website at youngstownphantoms.com for ticket information. And if you call for tickets, make sure that you mention the Ron Russo Foundation when you do, and a portion of the ticket sale will be going to said foundation. So with all that, I think we've done all the damage we can do for today. We'll wrap this up and mosey on down the dark and dusty trail.
Boy.
Yeah, Country Night was Saturday. Country Night was Saturday. I think I just quoted the B-52s there.
Yeah.
Whoops. Well, what am I going to do at this point? So,
if you want to.
All around the world. So after this last break, we'll tie a bow on this episode and look ahead to next week's show. So keep it here one more time with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take 1.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway club fitting center, and an Odyssey fitting studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We're back, and that will do it for this edition of the Dump and Chase podcast. Big thanks to Andrew Strathman for joining us, and a big thank you to all of you out there for spending some time with us this week. So on next week's episode, we will be recapping the school day game with Waterloo and the 2 games with the Dubuque Fighting Saints coming to the Covelli Center. And we will be previewing the 3-3 weekend coming up after that with the Muskegon Lumberjacks coming to town. So you can hear this show every Wednesday at 5 p.m. on Western Reserve Radio, either on westernreserveradio.com, the Live 365 or TuneIn apps, the Western Reserve Radio Facebook and Twitter pages, and the Youngstown Phantoms Facebook page. You can hear this show in its podcast format on Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can find us on social media on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And you can find all of these links, including the link to our merch store, at our official website, dumpandchasepod.com. So to my better thirds, Justin Irwin and Dan Conley, any final words of wisdom?
I've gotten lots of wisdom today. Lots of wisdom.
Just not on the parts we actually recorded.
No.
You used it all up between segments.
Yeah.
Justin, anything?
No, I've got nothing.
All right, we'll leave it at that. So as we wrap up, remember that hockey is a sport played on ice with sticks and a puck, and our podcast is the thing you just listened to. See ya.
Do you have to get a refill for that cream you have, Sam? Sam's still recording, isn't it?
Yep.
And you also have a chance to have some nerve and go home to San Diego. Dadgummit! What is wrong with y'all? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you, Chargers? You're below the redheaded stepchild in Los Angeles. I mean, they don't even like the damn Rams.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
With over 30 years of experience, Madurix Butcher Block in Mineral Ridge is a quality-driven company focused on great personal service. Our fresh meats are of the finest cut. We make a variety of burgers, sausages, and a full line of deli meats. Using our own smokehouse, we prepare different types of jerky, snack sticks, kibasi, bacon, hot dogs, and bone-in hams. When your tummy needs some relief, call 652-BEEF. That's 330-652-2333.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry?
When all we want to talk about is football. High school, college, and pro football. There's one man set to bring it all to you. It's time for Just Football with Matt Emsch. Matt was a first-time AP, all-offensive lineman with the Ursuline Irish and 3-time national champion with Youngstown State. And now, here's Matt.
And welcome to Just Football. I'm your host, Matt Emsch. Yes, we've been away for a couple weeks. I am really not going to get into the reason. Those of you that know me know why. I'm just happy to be here, excited to be back on the air. Obviously, a lot gone on since the last time we were here. Last time we were here, we talked about the Super Bowl coming up and who our picks were. And obviously, we saw what happened. Just to jump on real quick, just to let everyone know, in the next couple minutes, we're going to have somebody who usually is on towards the end of the program. We're going to have my partner in high school football, Matt Lipsack, the voice of the Youngstown Phantoms, is going to be calling in about 2 minutes. And we're going to discuss some things that have been going on in the hockey world and see how the Phantoms have been going. A lot of exciting things in the near future that is going to be happening here on Western Reserve Radio. We have, just so that everyone knows, semi-pro football coming to the Mahoning County. Actually, the Tri-County area, just because it's the Mahoning Valley Federals football team, semi-pro football team, doesn't mean that it doesn't include the whole entire valley, the Tri-County area. Super exciting. I mean, come on, everybody. We are going to get football from, high school, semi-pro, college, pro. When the pro season ends, well, just about a month, a little bit longer than a month, maybe a month and a half to 2 months, bam, right back into football. I mean, come on. This area, the Youngstown, Ohio area, one of the greatest cradles in America for coaching and players. The elite of the elite come out of the Youngstown area. Northeast Ohio is considered one of the absolute best in the country. You look at the Big Five, you have Ohio, Pennsylvania, Texas, Florida, and California. In fact, we're going to jump right on here. We got Matt Lipsack here on the line. Hey, Matty, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Good. I did not mute the phone, so everybody got to hear the phone ring there. But you know what? When you're in studio, you have that happen as well. So who do we have in the background there?
Alexis is here finishing her dinner. And when I say finishing her dinner, I mean eating what's left of my dinner because she already cleaned her plate.
There you go. Well, she usually joins us often, so it's good to have her back. How you been, brother?
I'm, staying out of trouble. Pretty much the same for the Phantoms for the most part. So I think the last time I was on the show, you and I talked the first weekend of January, I think it was, and
correct.
We were looking that maybe the Phantoms were going to be able to get a couple of positive results at the Cavelli Center that weekend with the last place team in the league coming in. Unfortunately, Youngstown only got 1 out of the 4 points that weekend, and that was actually in the middle of a 7-game winless streak.
Oh boy,
is where those two ended up landing. Since then, the Phantoms have righted the ship a little bit. I think 5-3-2 in their last 10 games. So not doing too shabby. Only, I think, 3 points out of second place in the Eastern Conference, which would get them a first-round bye in the playoffs. And we've got the number 1 team in the East coming in this weekend on Friday and Saturday. That's the Dubuque Fighting Saints. But can't forget about tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. We're going to have the school day game, and the Waterloo Blackhawks are going to be joining us to entertain a nice crowd of school-age children here in the Mahoning Valley.
I mean, how can you beat that? I mean, normally you would be in class, and you're going to have these kids are going to be able to watch a hockey match. I mean, how can you beat that?
You can't beat it with a stick, Matt, although I can tell you where my son will be. He will be in class because my wife said that a day of first grade was too important to miss for a hockey game.
I love it. Something that obviously we would always want to do when we were, in school is any type of ability that we could have to get out of being in school would be phenomenal. But my God, to be able to watch a Phantoms game instead of going to class, I don't see how there's a downside to that.
There really isn't. We're going to have some educational videos on the Jumbotron during timeouts and intermission. A good time is going to be had by all, I'm sure.
I love it. I can't wait to also hear the outcome of that matchup. Why don't you give us a little bit of specifics, though, Maddie, since it's been a while since you've been on, about what exactly has been going on with the Phantoms, please.
So after that 5-game, or I guess 7-game winless streak, the Phantoms finally snapped that. I want to say like last weekend of January or something like that. And then, like I said, they've got points in 7 of their last 10 games, and they're sitting in 4th place in the Eastern Conference right now with 57 points. Right ahead of them is Muskegon with 58. And then ahead of Muskegon is Green Bay with 59. And then Dubuque, who, like I said, is coming in this weekend, has 66. Phantoms aren't that far out of first, but really, if you want to get in those first 2 spots, get that first round bye in the opening round of the Clark Cup playoffs, because if you end up with, in a best of 3, you play one bad game in the opener, and then suddenly you find yourself down 1-0 and another loss ends your season. That's a lot of pressure. I'm not a fan of the best of 3 opening round, to say the least, and that is where I do not want to find myself again. The Phantoms have lost. Well, I guess they beat Cedar Rapids in a best of 3 last year, but before that they had lost 3 straight best of 3 series. So I want to try to avoid that opening round if at all possible.
Of course, yeah. I mean, we want to see them repeat as Clark Cup champs if possible. What is your opinion, Matt? Looking at them right now, if they were to enter into a championship series, them and, who is number one? Did you say Dubuque is number 1 right now?
Dubuque's number 1 in the East. The team that Youngstown played last year in the Clark Cup final, the Fargo Force, they are kind of running away with the regular season championship. I think they have, it's around the 80-point mark. They have like 33-5-2 or something crazy like that. They are running away with the Eastern, or not the Eastern Conference, but the Western Conference championship and the race for the overall regular season crown in the USHL. In fact, with the pace that that Fargo is playing right now, they may end up breaking the USHL record for not only wins in a season, but overall total points that a team scores in the standings. So Phantoms actually have a 2-game set with Fargo coming up in the middle of March. I think that's in about 3 weeks. Right now the Phantoms are in the middle of an 8-game homestand. We'd love to see you out at the Cavelli Center for the last, I guess we have 5 games left of this homestand. So we'd love to see you out at the Cavelli Center, but Youngstown's going to go out to Fargo here in a couple of weeks. And then, Matt, I tell you, we're going to find out a lot about the Phantoms over the next couple of weeks, because their schedule is an absolute bear. So we got the Dubuque Fighting Saints coming in this weekend. We've got we've got Muskegon coming in the weekend after that. They're ahead of the Phantoms in the standings. Then the Phantoms go on, I think it's a 4-game road trip, 2 games against Fargo, number 1 in the West, 2 games against Sioux City, number 2 in the West. And then come back, you have the Madison Capitals, who are right below the Phantoms in the standings at number 5. And then one of the last weekends of the season, you have 3 in a row at the Cavelli Center against the Green Bay Gamblers. They're number 2 in the East right now. So the schedule really doesn't let up until the final weekend of the season, when the Phantoms will be taking on Team USA's U17 squad. And the Team USA, they are in last place right now in the Eastern Conference. So really, we're going to find, like I said, we're going to find out a ton about the Youngstown Phantoms and how far they may go in the defense of their Clark Cup championship.
Now, we've discussed this before. Looking at the players that you guys have, or we have, because I'm a fan of them, but I mean, obviously not as involved as you are, you being the voice of the Phantoms. Looking at the players on the squad, who would you, if you were, say, a GM for, one of the NHL teams, who would be some of the players that you would definitely be looking at to add to your squad?
Well, so I'm going to start with a player who hasn't even had the opportunity to step on the ice for the Phantoms because he took a very vicious and dirty shot in the preseason, and we've been waiting this long for him to make his Phantoms debut after an upper body injury, and that's Nate Lewis. And Matt, Nate is a physical specimen. I'm talking 6'5". I'm talking a lean 215.
Wow.
And then he's going to put on ice skates. And with the ice skates, he's probably going to be, around like 6'8".
That is definitely a imposing figure. Definitely not somebody that you want to, be getting close to the glass, if you know what I mean, against.
So that's where I'm going to start. Is you're going to want to take a look at Nate Lewis, who I believe has already been to a couple of development camps with the New York Rangers. You're also going to want to look at Charlie Serrato, who is ranked in the top 200 of North American skaters when NHL Central Scouting put out their midterm rankings. I think that was in the first couple weeks of January. But Charlie has a way more skill than he's really given credit for by those rankings. And, he had a hat trick this past weekend against the Chicago Steel in the Phantom 7-1 drumming of Chicago, which, believe me, I love to see.
Nice.
So you're going to want to take a nice look at Charlie Serrato as well.
And is that about it for you, or there's got to be some more?
There's a couple more. Let me dig up my notes.
Not to put you on the spot here.
It's like you're making me pick between my favorite children or something. I love all these boys like they're my little brothers. All right, let's see here. Oh, Torrey Pittner, defenseman out of El Cerrito, California. He was ranked number 77 by NHL Central Scouting for North American skaters. 8 goals and somewhere in the area of, I think, 12 or 15 assists on the season. Torrey's having a very nice second season in a Youngstown uniform, and really a very good defenseman. A little bit of offense to his game, but you're not. And I say this, and then I'm going to explain. You don't notice him on the defensive end, and you don't notice him because he's not making mistakes, Matt. Mm-hmm. And that's a great thing to say about a defenseman.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what negative is there about that? Jeez. I mean, you guys have been stacked last year. This year sounds possibly like maybe you could be a little better. Is that your opinion?
If you look at a game-by-game comparison, the Phantoms are actually a few points ahead of the pace that they were at last year when they finished second in the Eastern Conference, then obviously went on to win a Clark Cup championship. So, at least on paper, the only place where really the Phantoms don't stack up is in the net, because how do you replace Jacob Fowler? That's a very difficult thing to do, and I'm just going to go ahead and say you don't replace Jacob Fowler. Colin Wynn has done an admirable job in the Youngstown net, and then little bit more than a month ago, the Phantoms brought in Aiden Wright from the New Hampshire Mountain Kings of the North American Hockey League, which is a kind of a tier below the Phantoms, and Aiden has been playing lights out. He's 6-1-1 in his first 8 starts, allowing less than 2 goals a game, and is stopping around 92% of the shots that have come his way. So the Phantoms are, they're starting to find some traction. Now we just need to try to get through this gauntlet of wrapping up the schedule and see how everything shakes out.
Well, we wish them the best of luck. We're going to definitely stay in touch with you over the coming weeks. And man, Matt, thank you so much for being here, brother. I mean, you are always welcome here and always wanted. You know, before we go, I did want to bring up, I was discussing before, you came on about just this little thing called semi-pro football in the Mahoning Valley that you and I are going to be calling some games for coming up here in June.
Looking forward to getting back in the booth with you and looking to see what the Mahoning Valley Federals, right? I've got that right.
Mahoning Valley Federals, and we're going to go right from that season. Not any break really at all. And we're going to jump back into the high school football season. So we're going to have tons of football, tons of time under our belt. And I can't wait to be calling games with you again, brother. Thank you for coming here tonight. I appreciate it.
No problem. I know Mark Means sent me the Mineral Ridge schedule. I think August 23rd is when we're getting back at it. So I am looking forward to it, brother. You take it easy.
All right, Matt. That's Matt Lipsack, the voice of the Youngstown Phantoms. We'll be back, everybody. We're going to have Jim Craven coming on up soon. This is Just Football. I'm your host, Matt Emsch.
Cryptid Creatures. Find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. Hi, it's Brian. Join me and my co-host Todd as we investigate those things that go bump in the night. We'll talk to real people who have had real face-to-face encounters.
There's two of them across the creek at the big rocks.
With cryptid beings. From Bigfoot to aliens to even demons. By the end, you'll be asking, do I believe? Cryptid Creatures. Find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Are you tired of settling for mediocre wings at sky-high prices? Belleria Niles has some of the best wing prices in Trumbull County, with 12 wings for $10 with over 15 flavors to choose from. Mention this show, Just Football with Matt Emsch, with your order and receive a free cheese puff until January 31st. Belleria at 602 Robbins Avenue, Niles, Ohio. 330-544-FOOD. That's 330-544-FOOD. Belleria, we sell taste one bite at a time.
Do you crave mysteries? Are you fascinated by the unexplained? Then summon your courage and plunge into the deep, dark abyss of what lurks beneath. A YouTube channel that dives into the unexplained, the supernatural, eyewitness reports, and more. The real question is, can you handle the truth? Simply search What Lurks Beneath on YouTube. If you think you're brave enough.
From high school to the pros and everything in between, you're listening to City View Sportscast, part of the iMedia One network.
And welcome back to Just Football. I'm your host, Matt Emsch. We are just waiting on Mr. Jim Craven to come back. And when he does, we will get on the line here. We got a lot of football here to talk. Obviously, Just Football with Matt Emsch. Before Matt Lipsack came on, and again, we want to thank him for coming on here and, letting us know what's going on with the Youngstown Phantoms. We have, as I was saying, we have semi-pro football coming on. Just to let everyone know, we have a game coming up. It is going, let me grab here. I got this schedule, and the Mahoning Valley Federals developmental football team preseason games announced May 11th, 2024 at home, Austintown Fitch High School, Austintown, Ohio. 4 p.m. kickoff versus the Steel City Kings of the BCFL. Now, the game being at Austintown Fitch, that's going to be a really good time. Great stadium. Definitely one of the nicest ones in the area. We're really excited to be calling these games for the Mahoning Valley Federals. we were very happy to sign this agreement with them. They heard what Western Reserve Radio does for the Youngstown Phantoms. Jim Craven, he does a great job setting things up. Dave Ferris as well, and then obviously Matt Lipsack calling the games for them. They loved what is being done, so they want to, get things going. And we're going to jump on the line here real quick. We got Jim Craven. Jim, how are you, sir?
Oh, outstanding. Busy day. So
yeah,
sit back and relax.
Well, I'm glad that you got that little side kind of note taken care of. I was just discussing, what we have coming up on May 11th at Austintown Fitch Stadium. We have the Mahoning Valley Federals playing in a preseason game against the Steel City Kings of the BCFL. And then May 18th at Marlington High School in Alliance, Ohio versus the 2023 National Semi-Pro Football Champion, 2023 Tri-Point Football League Champion, the Ohio Gladiators of the TPFL kickoff to be decided. It's going to be exciting and coming up really soon.
Yeah, it's nice to have football back in the Valley. And you're going to be taking on two teams that are pretty good. Steel City Kings, very established now. They're going to be over in the Blue Collar Football League. They were in the Tri-Point last year. And then taking on the Ohio Gladiators, those owners over there. And I believe it's going to be David George, still the owner over there. Doug Horning is the GM. And they were former Western Reserve Scourge players. So some connection there. And certainly glad to see they are doing so well. They put a lot of work into that. But, John Galbraith, and I know he's been busting his behind to get the Federals going this year, too, as far as, setting up the roster. And they'll be playing in Youngstown this year. So they got a little deal with athletic director Ryan Bonacci over at St. Christine. So it'll be a nice environment. It's going to be a nice opportunity to come out and see some of our area players that you would see in high school on Friday nights come out and play on Saturday afternoons or Saturday evenings. And very competitive football, though. Very good. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'll tell you, it's great when you get to start football in mid-May and it doesn't end until, sometimes mid-November, even beginning of December.
Absolutely. I was just saying to Lipper, one of the great things is, we miss football. Matt's been missing it. I've been biting at the bit. The fact that we get to do it, get that preseason game, May 11th, I have to mention this, my dad's no longer here. That's his birthday. That's special to me that I'm going to be getting a call with Matt. The first semi-pro football game for the Mahoning Valley Federals. First semi-pro team out of this area since, I don't know, some guy named Jim Craven was playing for the Western Reserve Scourge not too long ago. Seemed like just yesterday, right?
Yeah, it really does. And I'll tell you, the more I wake up and the more sore I feel in the morning, the more recent it feels. But excuse me, there's been some teams in the area since then that have either tried or, and just haven't had the traction. I think John is doing a great job over there with the Mahoning Valley Federals in terms of trying to establish some kind of foundation for a long-term run. And he's hitting on a lot of good things, including the history of football in this area, going back to the, I think they were called the Partitions back in the 30s, and then you all the way up till the Steel Valley Hard Hats, the Mahoning Valley Hard Hats. Either Youngstown Hard Hats, excuse me. I'm getting my Federals and Hard Hats confused. But there's a rich history in this valley, and a lot of people don't know about that. You go all the way back to when the guys from the Youngstown Hard Hats were playing here. They were actually moved here from other regions of the country, worked a job while they were here, and then practiced and played football as well. So we'd like to bring that back. It's affordable family fun. You come out on a Saturday afternoon and again, see the same guys that you would see on Friday night.
Agreed. And Mike Benner also helping John Galbraith do a good job there. Mike's been working really hard. I was talking about, you have this area here, obviously Northeast Ohio, Ohio in general, just an amazing football pool. But Northeast Ohio and the Youngstown, Ohio area, just, the cradle of coaches, they call it. You have so many players that go big time college, and it's definitely going to be something special. You get a lot of players who, for whatever reason, maybe they're an inch too short, don't get to further their career, or they go to a smaller school and they don't make it to the next level. Because let's be honest, you got 1% or less that make it to the NFL. You got amazing players that are going to get the ability to play again. I'm really excited. I think we could really see some excellent football. Do you see maybe down the road, maybe not even too long, maybe a kind of a repeat of what you guys did at the Scourge?
I would certainly hope so. It's not something that, we did and said, well, we hope nobody ever does it again. We really like the idea of having that. I like having, and you mentioned the players that maybe don't go on to do whatever, but still have that talent. And that gives them an opportunity to not only play again, but stay in the area, get the support from your family. And it's really different at this level, because now in high school, you had your parents there, you had administrators, fans. But you start playing at this level, you've got wives, girlfriends, children showing up. It's a different dynamic. And it's something that I know I love involving my son in. At the time, he was, 6, 7, 8 years old at the peak of everything, but he really enjoyed it. And I think those experiences for him carry on with him now. Not so much in football, wasn't a football player, or isn't a football player, but
heck of a hockey player, though.
Yeah, and that's, I think that exposure to being in the locker room and seeing those guys and how they worked hard and their attitudes, I think he carries that over to his own sport. It's worked for him. Not the biggest guy in the world, but it's going to be hard to outwork him. And he's seen a lot of that, because we were all that guy at one point. Talented, but you got 1,500 players a year in the NFL. Let's be honest. That's a speck on the map of a speck.
Mm-hmm.
And but again, the opportunity to play on a Saturday, and I'll tell you, there was a lot of times at the end of practices that we would talk, and I would tell all those guys, hey, look, I understand this isn't the NFL. That we're not going to have 63,000 people in a stadium, but you know what? It's our NFL, and it's something that we took, invested a lot of pride and time in. Looking back now, I look at the roster from the Scourge and I say, wow, I miss those guys. You look at some other programs that maybe are struggling, and you look at your roster and say, wow, we had a special crew then. And I hope that John and Mike can find that same thing with the Federals, and start to get some traction, get some support. And we're a football area. But unfortunately, we're very high on the high school end of football. So this would be a graduation thing for folks in the area to come out and see. You go from high school, and then I think some of the names we would call on Friday nights now, we'll get to call them on Saturday afternoon. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and certainly I'm looking to get back to it. I love calling hockey. And of course we got lacrosse coming up. That's kind of the new thing, But nothing really takes the I guess importance over football. That's just that's a special thing to be able to do.
It is. And, if you, just to let everybody know, if you go to the Mahoning Valley Federals developmental football team on Facebook, you can get an idea of not only, what's going on there. You can see some of the players. There's some great pictures on there. It also has connections, phone numbers for any of you guys out there that are thinking about maybe trying out that haven't done it yet. Yes, they've been practicing. Yes, but, I'm sure they're not going to turn away maybe some great players or guys that want to help out. Also, if you go to MahoningValleyFederals.org, it's a website. You can go check that out there. A lot of people, as you alluded to, Jim, don't realize, you have semi-pro, guys have to get themselves there. They got to make a lot of those payments, buy things themselves, pay to get themselves there. Could you, expand a little bit on, how difficult this is for some of these guys?
Well, of course, some programs are better than others
right.
in terms of their success. So you have the Erie Express up there with Paul Pennington, who does an absolutely phenomenal job. The Columbus Fire down there. So there are teams that have those abilities to provide things and give you opportunities. And then there's teams that, just don't. So there are guys that, will purchase their own equipment. They have to work during the week. They'll practice in the evenings and be there on Saturday. Travel's not easy. Of course, if you play for the Cleveland Cobras, Jesse Caldwell's got you on a chart that's going to wherever they're going, within reason. So, we headed down to Portsmouth last year, got to see the historical stadium down there. That was a really good time. And, it varies from team to team, but, as you build it and you get that backing and you can build that like-minded set with all of the players who start to set the foundation and the new players that come in follow that. It takes a couple of years, but they make a lot of sacrifices for this. And, and then we know as we get older, maybe I don't want to say we get injured a little easier, but it's a little harder to recover.
Yes.
So you have to really have a steel mindset to be able to do this, to get up, play on Saturday, hope to all goodness that you're going to be able to kind of heal up on Sunday and then be able to go to work on Monday. So again, it's a lot of sacrifice, but I think a lot of players would tell you do this because football's, for lack of a better term, an addiction. I mean, it's something you miss, and it's the peak of everything right out there. You're going one-on-one with the guy across from you. And a lot of young men miss that, and this is a great opportunity to fulfill that need, even with the sacrifices.
It is. It's a commitment. It's a labor of love. I would do anything I could if I could strap it up a few more times. Those days are long gone, but you know what? It's going to be awesome to see. I was looking here before we take a break. They've had some indoor practices. They've been utilizing athletics in Columbiana County or Columbiana, Ohio. They're going to be playing at St. Christine's, which is supposedly a decent football field. So again, their first preseason matchup is going to be at Austintown Fitch. So it's going to be fun. When we come back, we're going to be jumping into some college NCAA talk. So, Jim, hold on. We'll be right back. You're listening to Just Football. I'm your host, Matt Upsh.
Are you tired of settling for mediocre wings at sky-high prices? Belleria Niles has some of the best wing prices in Trumbull County, with 12 wings for $10 with over 15 flavors to choose from. Mention this show, Just Football with Matt Emsch, with your order and receive a free cheese puff until January 31st. Belleria at 602 Robbins Avenue, Niles, Ohio. 330-544-FOOD. That's 330-544-FOOD. Belleria, we sell taste one bite at a time.
Do you crave mysteries? Are you fascinated by the unexplained? Then summon your courage and plunge into the deep, dark abyss of what lurks beneath. A YouTube channel that dives into the unexplained, the supernatural, eyewitness reports, and more. The real question is, can you handle the truth? Simply search What Lurks Beneath on YouTube, if you think you're brave enough.
In the Valley, football is king, and the Mahoning Valley Federals are looking to build the 2024 roster with talent forged in this area to compete for a Tri-Point Football League championship. If you're 18 and older and looking to return to the gridiron, call General Manager John Galbraith at 330-540-1099 or visit the team on Facebook at Mahoning Valley Federals Developmental Football. The Mahoning Valley Federals, honoring the football tradition in the Valley. From high school to the pros and everything in between, you're listening to City View Sportscast, part of the iMedia One network.
And welcome back to Just Football. I am Matt Emsch, and let me bring Jim back on. I believe he is right here. Jim, how you doing again, sir?
Sorry, you caught me with my mouth full. That's embarrassing.
That's okay. Hey, you know what? You've got a busy day, man. You want to grub it up, you go right ahead. I was going to jump on here. We have, I was bringing up Mel Kiper's draft here. Let's see. All right, here we go. I'm gonna forward this to you real quick so that you have exactly, because what I had sent you earlier, for some reason it wasn't popping up there. So let me throw this at you. So Mel Kiper, obviously everybody knows, what he loves to do. And he threw up let's do this. The first thing, the 16 NFL draft prospects with a true round one grade. So let's jump on that one there, Jim, because for whatever reason, you know what? It's not allowing me to get into that. So you know what? Let's jump from that. And what we're going to do, actually, here, I threw you all kinds of things here earlier. So let's do this as everyone is listening. What we're going to do is we're going to actually discuss one of the things that's big in college football right now. You have college football helmet communication. Obviously, NCAA expected to improve after the successful bowl experiments. They did it, so just like in the NFL, you have helmet communication. It's come into college football. They are looking to possibly throw that into this season. The Maryland Terrapins were one of the teams that used in-game communication during the bowl games last season. What are your thoughts first and foremost, Jim, on this situation? Just something that you expect, something that you think maybe they shouldn't be doing?
Oh no! At first, I thought it was a little odd for the NFL. I wanted to see how they were going to deal with that. But one of the things that I found interesting is when you started watching the XFL and the USFL, they had the communication that you could hear through the broadcast, and I'm like, wow, this is interesting. And I see how it sped up the game. I think it took a little bit off the quarterback too. I mean, there are certain quarterbacks that call their own plays, and but it really, to me, was intriguing, again, with the XFL, USFL way they did it. But I don't see it being a difference in college. College is becoming so much like the pros now in terms of, just financially. I mean, you look at, you get 100,000 people at a Big Ten game in Michigan or Ohio State. But the technology end of it, I think, is fascinating. Although I would like to be able to hear what they're saying and see, just, from the fact that we've all played football, sometimes I just like to figure out what they're going to do before they do it and see if you can understand the language. And it really kind of shows you that those offenses at college or the NFL level are really complicated.
It's obscenely complicated. Just to let everybody know, when I played college football, we're going back into the early 90s. I played at Youngstown State for Jim Tressel, 91 through 94. Let me tell you something. I still, to this day, when I see or talk to some of my ex-teammates who are defensive linemen, I give them some guff, because when we got handed out our playbooks, I still have my playbook, and I'm not supposed to, but sorry, coach. It was basically when we left our meeting room and we were walking, I think we went to eat after we got our playbooks, comparing the offensive line's playbook to the defensive line's playbook is like comparing a comic book to the old telephone books. It is really ridiculous. People have no idea. You have that old mindset of, big dumb football player. Well, let me explain something to you. And Jim, you played high school, you played semi-pro. There is no big dumb football player, especially when you're playing on offense. There is quite a bit. I would love to see, just your general armchair quarterback who thinks that they know so much about football to take a look at a playbook, or even try and line up on the offensive line when you got to switch sides, you got to change things up. Not as easy as people think.
No, not at all. and you sometimes when you hear these calls coming into the helmet, you wonder, okay, how is he going to repeat all of that to the other 10 men on that side of the ball? And there's times when, and I find it fascinating, they're so complicated that the coaches will call something in, the quarterbacks will somehow abbreviate. It seems like they're getting half of it, and then they call the rest of it at the line.
Yeah.
So you could just tell that is a full-time job as opposed to just playing a sport. There's something to that.
There is, and you normally always see guys wearing wristbands. The quarterback has the plays on his wristband, just to let everybody know. So, for instance, you get an extremely difficult play called in. You hear at each position through that play certain keywords for each guy on that offense, so that you know. And just like Jim said, you go up to the line of scrimmage and there are some different calls made. You're changing plays as the line of scrimmage. You're making audibles. Offensive linemen make audibles. It's not the old school. You line left tackle, right tackle. You switch sides. I played open tackle in college, which meant most of the time, unless we went double tights, I had no help out to my outside. So I had to deal with a lot of those faster, quicker guys. I was very happy a lot of times to get double tights and things like that. So not so easy, but going back to what we started this discussion about having the ability to have microphones on the field. You talked about you like being able to hear watching the game. I think it will educate our younger players. I'm not so sure, if I'm a huge fan of it. Like, you have some guys, talking about, like one gentleman, Loxley from Sporting News, he talked about, you're getting in a situation of almost playing a video game, a degree where you're in the quarterback's ear. Or, hey, throw the ball to 13, or, throw it to number 13, or, get rid of it. Is that, the kind of changes that again, that you're cool with seeing? Is that just that, changes and heading into the future, so to speak, that you think college football should be grabbing?
Well, I know the NFL at some point, I think it's with 10 or 15 seconds, cuts off their mics.
Right.
So they're not going to get too much beyond that. Now the question is, how far does it go? And, at some point is the coach or the offensive coordinator, yelling at you, hit the out route, there it is. Did they evolve into that? And I think it would be interesting, just in the fact that, I don't know, from a quarterback aspect, can you handle all of that going on in your head as the play is developing? Because there's so much chaos. It looks so smooth when you see it on TV. It looks very choreographed, but during the live play, it's chaotic, and you rely on your muscle memory to do what you're supposed to do. And sometimes it doesn't always work out so well, but to have that added dynamic of some coach yelling in your ear, during the play, that would be interesting. And you would have to be a special individual to be able to process that all within, I guess, the average play lasts about 4 seconds. So there's a lot going on there. As an experiment, I think it would be fun. I don't know if it would be a long-term thing you would want to do. And basically you get, every 16-year-old plays Madden to be able to do that at that point. Now they're going to be football gurus.
Right. Well, it says here, NCAA Football Rules Committee will meet February 28th, 29th. According to one source, rule changes related to helmet communication and tablet technology will be discussed. Whether that leads to rule changes for the 2024 college football season remains to be seen. But 6 bowl games used coach-to-player helmet communication, tablets in those games. The reviews for those coaches who used those changes were positive, even if there were some trial and error. Obviously, there are going to be trial and error. Sticking to, the bowl games, we have not discussed, really that much. We did talk about, Michigan to a point winning the national championship, but we have not discussed what has occurred since said winning national championship. Your thoughts on Jim Harbaugh?
You heard the rumblings before the national championship. I think at some point he wanted to go back to the NFL. I mean, who doesn't? That's
Right.
kind of the pinnacle of football, and you're sending him back to where he's kind of familiar there. I mean, you're sending him out to San Diego. He was with San Francisco. So not surprised that he went. I'm surprised that Michigan did not counterbid the way that San Diego did.
Agreed.
But I guess at some point you have to draw the line financially what you're going to offer. But of course, they're going to have some changeover with the transfer portal and things like that. But I'd say congratulations to him. Good for him. He did an excellent job, I thought, with San Francisco. I don't know what the issue was with the administration that, that was cut short before he became the coach of Michigan. But certainly San Diego is going to be the talk of the league next year. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them on HBO's Hard Knocks to kind of follow that around because regardless of what you think, of Jim Harbaugh, he's an intriguing character and people pay attention to see, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I mean,
little strange,
which makes him very captivating.
Right.
So he's going to make for good television. And I guess the bigger question for me is being an Ohio State fan is how is this going to affect Michigan and what direction is that program going to come in? And the new head coach's name slips my mind, so I apologize.
Sharon Moore.
Yes, and he did an excellent job while Harbaugh was on suspension.
Mm-hmm.
So many questions left there. Unlike the NFL, they're not as transparent in college when you go through the off season. But we'll certainly be able to see that coming up. And I probably have to honestly believe that Ohio State was kind of happy to see Jim Harbaugh head out to the West Coast after the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the guy has built a great program. I don't like saying it. We don't like hearing it. The majority of the people from this area, 3 years in a row, losing to that team from up north. I think things are going to change. Not obviously just because Jim Harbaugh is leaving. And let's real quick again. Let's not forget. He did extremely well on the West Coast when he, was at Stanford. Was lights out when he was at the San Francisco 49ers, was amazing. Took him to the Super Bowl. Definitely going to be very interesting. I think he's going to succeed no matter where he goes. The guy is phenomenal. I laughed at that comment that he gets to sit at the big boy table now with his dad and his brother at the dinner table now that he won a national championship. He might get that Super Bowl. You never know. How many times was at Stanford, was lights out when he was at the San Francisco 49ers, was amazing. Took him to the Super Bowl. Definitely going to be very interesting. I think he's going to succeed no matter where he goes. The guy is phenomenal. I laughed at that comment that he gets to sit at the big boy table now with his dad and his brother at the dinner table now that he won a national championship. He might get that Super Bowl. You never know. How many times have the Chargers, been, so close to having a Super Bowl over the years and just couldn't get it?
Yeah, certainly. There's some great pieces there. I can see why they were frustrated with the coaching staff. When you have that kind of talent, and certainly injuries play a part in a very long 17-game season, but you can't deny the success that certainly. I love the linebacker play as well. I love that they flew around. His kryptonite was
Radio Network.
Goes on in San Diego. He's going to be successful, and certainly the AFC West has got something now to look out for in San Diego. It's going to be an issue for them. And the first year, I think he's going to have a lot of success just because he's going to do maybe a little bit of a surprise. It'll be a new kind of atmosphere for them. Second and third year, I think he'll fall a little bit more into the norm of what he does, and it'll become more competitive. But he's, again, I wasn't sad when he left.
No, not at all. And, we're going to, after we come back from break, we're going to talk about Ohio State and we're going to talk about the Super Bowl. I just want to say here real quick, Sharon Moore becomes the 21st head football coach in school history and is the first African American to lead the nation's winningest program in college football history. I want to believe with the recruiting and the transfer portal that happened to Ohio State, things are going to change. We will delve more into that. We come back and listen to Just Football. I'm your host, Matt Emsch.
Experience nature's bounty with Creation's Backyard. Elevate your health with the most nutrient-dense foods on Earth. From farm to table, sustainably cultivated with care. Grown locally in Niles, Ohio with no chemicals or synthetics ever. Unlock your culinary creativity with Creation Backyard Microgreens. Convenient local delivery and pickup options available. Order now at creationsbackyard.com or call 330-282-7208.
In the Valley, football is king, and the Mahoning Valley Federals are looking to build the 2024 roster with talent forged in this area to compete for a Tri-Point Football League championship. If you're 18 and older and looking to return to the gridiron, call General Manager John Galbraith at 330-540-1099 or visit the team on Facebook at Mahoning Valley Federals Developmental Football. The Mahoning Valley Federals, honoring the football tradition in the Valley.
SNK, painting your house today. SNK, painting your house
SNK Painting provides exceptional painting and refinishing services to the Mahoning Valley and surrounding communities by being an industry leader in our field, focusing on customer service and delivering extraordinary results. We offer interior and exterior painting, and we specialize in cabinet refinishing with affordable cabinet solution. Call SNK Painting for your free estimate at 330-505-1910.
SNK, painting your house today.
From high school to the pros and everything in between, you're listening to City View Sportscast, part of the iMedia One network.
And welcome back to Just Football. I am your host, Matt Emsch. We still have Jim Craven on the line. He is guest hosting with me today. I always love when you're here with me, Jim. We have a good time, brother.
Yeah, I mean, this can only be the full-time job. We'd never work a day in our life.
You know what, though? But that's the goal, and I believe that that's where we're going to get there. What we discussed about before we broke, we were talking about that team from up north, obviously dominating the Buckeyes the last 3 years. I truly believe, honestly, with Harbaugh leaving, and not only that, I'm not so sure even if he was still there with what has occurred with recruiting and with the transfer portal. If, it would be interesting to see. I'm with you, though. I'm happy to see him go. Ohio State has really loaded up for this season coming up. Ryan Day better do something, or you want to talk about his butt on the hot seat, it's going to get nuclear.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, what job can you have as a head coach where you have a 2% loss rate and be on the hot seat, because you can't beat one team? So certainly you look at the transfer portal, and essentially what this is becoming just free agency in college. So I think they've done an outstanding job. A lot of people are flocking there, but it doesn't seem like they're building for the future. It looks like they're building for 2024, and they mean business. And I think Ryan Day knows, whether he'll admit it or not, this is going to be key for him in terms of, can we get over the hump with Michigan? Although I don't know how many years in a row Ohio State beat Michigan.
Right.
I thought that's what cost, I know that's what cost people like John Cooper his job.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's all be happy about that, because that brought in my old coach, Jim Tressel, who gave the legendary speech at the Ohio State Michigan basketball game that you will be proud of your football team when they play that team from up north. And boy, were we proud of those Buckeyes. He lost one time out of 12 years, I believe, to Michigan.
I believe you're probably in that neighborhood, but That was a guy who said everything right the first time he stepped on that basketball court to let them know. And it fed off of everything from there. Certainly, heartbreaking how that ended.
Yeah, it was. I have a lot of issues still with that. In terms of John Cooper, the guy was not from Ohio State. You're not from Ohio. How are you going to really get into that rivalry? You weren't brought up believing it, bleeding it, breathing it. And you have Jim Tressel, who absolutely knew everything about it and just unceremoniously just withdrawn from NCAA. Again, I have to always mention this. The guy took the brunt of a tattoo ridiculous situation. Then you have Butch Davis, who was involved in one of the NCAA's most unbelievable cheating scandals in history. Oh, and by the way, the next season he was coaching football again. So, but I want to, before, because we're getting close here to the end, talking about the transfer portal, talking about recruiting. Ohio State, I mean, and I don't know if they have the number one recruiting class, if not number one, number two. I think they might have had number one, but looking at what Ohio State gained in 2024, Caleb Downs, the former 5-star safety, ranked number one at his position in this transfer class, and number one overall came from, oh, by the way, Alabama, because Nick Saban is missing and not coaching there anymore. Quite a grab for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, certainly leaving a big program like Alabama, but you had to figure there was going to be some fallout from the coaching change. You knew it was going to happen some year, but it'll be interesting to see how that pans out with all the commitments that were made to players over the last couple of years that he would be there. But certainly you like the, and I hate to say this, you like the SEC type of defensive backs. They're fast. They get to the point of attack really quick. So I think that's nothing but a plus for Ohio State. And again, this is a team that's going to be built for just 1 or 2 years. And when the draft comes, you're going to see a ton of Buckeye players right back up there as well.
I agree. Paul Feinbaum, obviously huge Alabama guy, definitely, him as well as many other people in the know, jumping on Ohio State for number one team in the country, national championship. And let me tell you something. They have been darn close. I can't help but go back to the Georgia-Ohio State game.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge, a part of the Sports Map Radio Network.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on Western Reserve Radio. Men's hoops on Tuesday in the MAC. Ball State beat Central Michigan 79-71. Kent State over Buffalo 76-64. Ohio beat Akron 74-67. Northern Illinois over Toledo 75-70.
Host of By All Means, Tuesdays at 5, right here on Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on Western Reserve Radio. The Cavaliers held on to beat the Mavericks 121-119 last night. Donovan Mitchell had 31 points. Men's hoops number 21 Dayton beat Davidson 80-66. Number 1 Houston 67-59 over Cincinnati. Men's hoops on Tuesday in the MAC. Ball State beat Central Michigan 79-71. Kent State over Buffalo 76-64. Ohio beat Akron 74-67. Northern Illinois over Toledo 75-2. Miami of Ohio beat Bowling Green 66-58. Eastern Michigan nipped Western Michigan 70-67. As far as the standings in the MAC, things are tight with just a couple games remaining. Akron's the leader at 12-3, Toledo 11-4, Ohio and Central Michigan both 10-5.